It's a win or go home scenario for the New England Regional on a beautiful afternoon at the Giamatti Little League Center here in Bristol, Connecticut, as we continue on the road to Williamsport.
Fun is underway here at the Little League World Series. Shortstop, go!
And he crushes one to right. My goodness.
We got ourselves an unbelievable Little League baseball game.
It's a feeling it's never gone. It's the reason keeps you coming back again. Summer forever.
There it is! They get it! The perfect season!
You're watching coverage of ESPN's Little League World Series on the road to Williamsport. A beautiful afternoon at the Giamatti Little League Center here in Bristol, Connecticut. Elimination Day. Vermont and Massachusetts battling it out with the winner continuing their hopes for a trip to Williamsport. As we take a look at the bracket in the New England Regional, both New Hampshire and Connecticut have spots in the semifinals, while the second matchup between Rhode Island and Maine also part of this Elimination Day in the New England Regional. Hi, everyone, and welcome alongside Darren Bragg, who spent 11 seasons in the majors. I'm John Brickley. Glad to have you with us. It is Elimination Day in this tournament for the New England Regional. And over your playing career, 11 seasons, you've had plenty of opportunities to play in elimination games. What is the mindset for these players today?
Expect to win, have fun, and then go with the flow. It's going to be an emotional game. When things aren't going your way, bounce back quickly. When they are going your way, ride it out.
And you talk about a Massachusetts team that had a quick turnaround, less than 24 hours, because last night against New Hampshire, the game, due to the rain conditions, was pushed back to 9:30. However, plays like this kept them alive. Travis Moran with the beautiful sliding catch, and then Logan Simmons with the two-run home run that capped it off for New Hampshire. They advance, and if you're Massachusetts, how do you get that quick rebound performance?
Yeah, it's a difficult task, so you're going to rely a lot on adrenaline to get you back. It's a quick turnaround, quick night of sleep, tough to sleep here. Go out and play.
A game that started at 9:30 ended just before 11:30 as Massachusetts set to take the field. It's Elimination Day in Bristol. Winner keeps the hopes alive for a trip to Williamsport. At the Giamatti Little League Center in Bristol, Connecticut, game number 2 of our quadruple header, a elimination game in the New England Regional between Vermont and Massachusetts. As we get set for first pitch, let's take a look at the division at a glance for this tournament. New England and Mid-Atlantic following the same 6 teams in a modified double elimination with the ages ranging from 10 to 13 years old in a 6-inning game that features 2/3 the conventional field size and a minimum mandatory play, with the winner of this game continuing on for a chance at a spot at the Little League World Series in Williamsport. A look at the starting pitcher here for Holden, Massachusetts. Tucker McDonald, his favorite athlete, LeBron James, as Holden, Massachusetts, having the quick turnaround after last night's game against New Hampshire ended just before 11:30 Eastern Time, as Vermont, after their opening round loss on Sunday against South Portland, Maine, back in action after a day off, as Ben Dibler, the shortstop, set to lead things off for Vermont in their road blue. Holden, Massachusetts, in more of a home darker blue. Better than what we had on Sunday with New Jersey and DC, both red, as first pitch underway for this elimination game. Donald falling behind in the count, 2-0.
Yeah, and the keys to watch here early for these managers is how their starting pitcher is going to step up and start the game. You have to have short leashes on these guys in these elimination games. If they're not getting the job done, you may have to go to them quickly.
It'll be fascinating to see how it plays out for Massachusetts, whether or not fatigue plays a factor, as that one just fouled because of the short turnaround. But again, the argument that I make, Darren, and we've had this discussion coming to the ballpark today, these are 12 and 13-year-olds. If they can't get hyped up after what happened last night and have the quick turnaround, then there's some kind of issue.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to be ready to play, and then with the adrenaline flowing, it should be able to carry them through.
So Deibler able to foul the last couple of pitches to even up the count at 2-2. And again, fouls that one away. The sun bursting through. So many rain and weather condition problems that happened yesterday, forcing the final 2 games to be pushed back. And Deibler goes down swinging, and McDonald with the first punch out.
The catcher, number 2, Eli Bostwick.
Eli Bostwick, who was the starter in the opening round for Vermont on Sunday, pitched effectively. And the breaking ball missing outside. He left in the first pitch that Deibler gave up to Matthew Fogg for South Portland, Maine, a 2-run home run. Vermont was able to battle back, unfortunately came up on the losing end.
Yeah, they scrapped their way back in that game. It seems like they're a nice, scrappy team. You know, right now at hitting, they're just trying to give competitive at-bats. Even though the first leadoff hitter struck out, I felt it was a competitive at-bat. I feel like this one is too, so they're playing on par right now.
Bostwick the grounder to second. Cole Corelli with the easy put out, and there is quickly 2 away to begin this top half of the first inning.
The pitcher, number 8, Andrew Goodrich.
We touched upon the mindset for an elimination game. Winner continues on in pursuit of a spot in the Little League World Series. The team that falls in this game, their season comes to an end, and that's a great deal of pressure to put on these kids.
Yeah, a lot of pressure to start even before the game has started. And then as a team, one of your keys would be to add the pressure, put more pressure on them, get guys on base, you know, run the bases, take advantage, you know, keep the pressure on the other team.
Andrew Goodrich with the liner in the center field, and the starter for Vermont today is on with a 2-out base hit. I was joking with you yesterday. Goodrich, his dream job wants to be a sports reporter.
Number 1.
So I have to apologize if I don't have the highest of praise for Goodrich, because they'll probably take my job at some point. Jake Raomi stepping in the cleanup spot, the first baseman.
Yeah, a lot of this challenging job that you have. There's a lot of guys out there trying to get it.
I'll tell you, there's difficulties everywhere. Never working with you, though, Darren, is never a challenge.
Well, I appreciate that.
As long as I call you Mr. Bragg and give up a couple of your stats over the years, I'm in pretty good shape.
Yeah, you know how to pump the ego up a little bit, man.
Well, listen, you played for the Red Sox, so growing up as a Red Sox fan, you're doing well in my book.
Thank you.
Of course, when you played for the Yankees, I didn't even want to hear your name.
I was just always happy someone was signing my paychecks every 2 weeks.
Didn't matter where you were playing at one point, just as long as you were playing. Raomi ahead in the count, 2-1 here with 2 outs in the top half of the first. That one missing outside. Quick check back to first. The tag applied, Goodrich in there well in advance.
You know, and that's something right there you pay attention to when you're sitting on the bench. Catcher trying to make a throw down the first baseline, so right away in your mind you're ready for the rest of the game. Okay, maybe this is the type of catcher who likes to throw. You know, there's not a lot of scouting reports on these guys, so you almost have to be your own scout in the dugout.
The second baseman.
So after retiring the first 2 batters, Goodrich reaches on with a base hit. Raomi follows it up with a 2-out walk, and so now in this top half of the first, Vermont is threatening with 2 on and nobody out, and the number 5 batter in the lineup, Toby Abenzeller, the second baseman, comes to the plate for Vermont. Favorite band, Maroon 5 for Toby. There's sometimes the nicknames you kind of expect. Like, for instance, if I'm thinking first name Toby, music-wise, I'm thinking Toby Keith. Be fun to see that, but that's why they throw you the curveball all the time.
Yeah, most of the time I think of Toby. For some reason I think of Spider-Man.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So McDonald falls behind. And now the chopper to third. Great play and an easy play for Joey Conrad, the third baseman, for the putout. On the force out as Vermont ends up scoreless midway through this first inning.
For Vermont, no runs in the top of the first.
We didn't know what we were doing there in the World Series. We were so young, and we win it 1 year, and just from then it was just baseball all the time. We had a lot of fun in Williamsport, just play in front of a lot of people for the first time, and from there it was just baseball.
Junction Profar giving us his perspective of when Curacao won it all in 2004, as Profar making that leap from the Little League to the majors, the shortstop for the Rangers. Jonathan Scope of the Orioles, also part of that Curacao team in 2004 that won it all. Here's a look at the upcoming schedule. We're through the regional finals this coming week, and in Williamsport gets underway August 17th with the U.S. and International Championships being decided on the 26th of this month, and then the World Series Championship coming up on the 27th. And if you're a fan of Little League World Series action, last couple of years have been tremendous, with Maine Endwell, New York winning it all a year ago, as Andrew Goodrich, the 13-year-old, on the mound to start things off for Vermont, as we get our first chance to take a look at this offense for Massachusetts, starting off with the leadoff hitter and Dennis Jardine, sporting the neon bat, whose favorite athlete, no surprise, is Tom Brady.
I love those little pieces when the guys are talking about, and the common theme is have fun while you're playing these games.
That one in there for a called strike. And now, more so than ever, fans can really relate to the big names on the biggest stage in baseball that have had Little League experience, as Jardine goes down quickly by way of the K. Think about Cody Bellinger of the Dodgers, like Trout as well. I mean, there have been so many big names to have played in the Little League World Series. I mean, if you're a fan here in the state of Connecticut, Chris Drury comes to mind, part of that '89 Trumbull team. Todd Frazier with Tom's River, back in '98.
People forget that at one time these were just kids playing in this same type of game. You see these guys on the big stage and you forget, well, they had to grow up, they had to learn, and along the way, Little League was all part of that process of learning.
Tucker McDonald falling behind the count 1-2. McDonald, the starter for today, was able to escape an early jam in that first inning. Going with the high heat, and McDonald could not catch up, and it's back-to-back Ks to start off this game, as Vermont behind Goodrich with a strong start here to the bottom half of this first inning. Sean Verrier, now the number 3 hitter.
Yeah, in these elimination games, sometimes you're only as good as your starting pitcher and the performance he does. Right now, great start.
That one missing low. Both in the New England Regional and in the Mid-Atlantic as well, there's really been a separation in terms of the top-tier teams and the teams battling it out in the lower bracket. And what I mean by that is Fairfield out of Connecticut, along with New Hampshire, I mean, really put a stamp on this tournament, whereas in the Mid-Atlantic, New Jersey and Pennsylvania have been head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah, and it seems like offensively is what really sticks out with these teams that have been able to go 2-0 with their first 2 games. They're scoring a lot of runs, keeping the pressure on and taking advantage of the other team's mistakes.
And unlike in years past, Darren, really, at least to this point, the first-round bye has not been as effective as it has been in years past. And first pitch swinging was Eli Robbins, the shortstop in the cleanup spot.
Yeah, I think the first round bye only helps you if you really win the game. You can get that bye, but if you don't win after that bye, then you're just thrown back in the loser's bracket anyway.
And on the flip side, the argument for a team like New Jersey in the Mid-Atlantic, coming out, making a statement with 16 runs on Sunday, following up with another impressive offensive performance as the count now falls to 1-2 on Robbins. And strike 3 called. So 3 strikeouts to begin this game for the starter for Goodrich. Striking out the side to end the first inning. Pinpoint accuracy by the right-hander. And we are at the end of one, scoreless at the Giamatti Center here in Bristol, Connecticut. Elimination Day in the New England Regional. Scoreless as we head to the second inning at the Giamatti Center in Bristol, Connecticut, as Tucker McDonald back to work for second inning for Holden, Massachusetts. Facing off with Josh Brown, the third baseman, followed by Eli Robinson and Hazen Randall. That one missing low by McDonald, falls behind in the count 2-0. Was able to get out of a jam in the first inning as that ball into the dirt, so it's 3-0. Again, the quick turnarounds. Last night's game for Massachusetts against New Hampshire started at 9:30. Didn't end till 11:21 as Brown is able to draw a leadoff walk to begin the second. But you can only imagine the kind of turnaround that the fans had to do. We certainly had to do. Our technical crew has had to do. So, I mean, it really is one of those situations. You touched upon it.
Mechanically, you're fine, okay? Just keep throwing downhill. You look great, okay? Just keep hitting your spots. You got a good target, give him that one out of the line, okay? Give him right on that corner every time. Hey, let him hit it. We got a great bunch of fielders out here, okay?
Good advice from manager Tom Conrad to his starter, Tucker McDonald. A vote of confidence as well with the defense behind him. And I think that's an important situation if you're a manager. Granted, leadoff man gets on, but a situation where you get a chance to just calm down your pitcher. Kind of reset the stage.
Yeah, exactly, because he knows that if things don't go his way, he's probably going to get him out of there early. So he knows his best chance of having success if McDonald could come out here and have a good start. So best thing to do for him is settle him down right there. You can't defend the walk. So if the guy hits the ball, you tip your hat to the hitter. But if you start walking guys, then we have problems.
McDonald falling behind in the count 3-0. Now has thrown 27 pitches to this point. Pitch count crucial for any manager in Little League, and back-to-back walks drawn by Vermont. 8 pitches, 8 balls thrown so far by Tucker McDonald, and there are 2 on with no one out.
Number 6.
You know, watching this Vermont team play earlier in the tournament, they are a scrappy type of team, so they're not going to swing at a lot of bad pitches. They're going to make the pitcher work. They're content with getting on base and just kind of moving the line.
Well, and when you've seen a pitcher throw 9 straight balls, in essence, as a hitter, you're thinking to yourself, I'm waiting till the first pitch strike.
Yeah, exactly.
McDonald, who's been going with the breaking ball as of late, maybe might want to change it to a fastball, and he misses high again. That one gets behind the catcher, McManus. Both runners able to advance, and Vermont threatening with runners in scoring position and still no one out.
Yeah, the key to pitching is really, ideally as a pitcher, you want to pitch off your fastball. So you actually want to establish that fastball early and then pitch off it. McDonald's actually been struggling throwing his fastball, so maybe once in a while he said maybe the breaking ball works out better, but that wasn't the case, and he's right back to his fastball.
Way off the mark on that pitch, ball 4, so 3 straight walks surrendered by McDonald's. The bases loaded as a result, with Brown on third, Robinson on second, and now Randall at first. Sets it up for McFaul, the number 9 hitter, the center fielder. And a quick meeting at the mound for the catcher, Pat McManus, just talking things over with the starter. And the second mound visit here by the manager for Holden, Massachusetts. That would be Tom Conrad.
It's all right. Hey, we got more games to play. Come here. No matter what happens, right? You got it right there. It's right there. Don't worry about it. We're going to get everything back, every bit of it back. Don't you worry, kid. All right, Joey to right. Yeah.
So Tom Conrad making a pitching change with the bases loaded and no one out. We'll get to it on the other side of the break as Vermont threatening in this elimination game from Bristol. Joe Capabianca, the new pitcher for Massachusetts after Tucker McDonald was pulled with the bases loaded and no one out. And the number 9 hitter, Tanner McFall, the center fielder for Vermont at the plate, falling behind in the count. 0-1 as Paul, fan of Shark Week, as that one misses low. Darren, from your perspective as a hitter, you've gone now from seeing a right-handed pitcher to having to adjust to a left-handed pitcher. Just how difficult is that for a hitter?
Yeah, there's different lanes. As a hitter, you look into lanes when you're tracking a baseball, and you got to change your eyesight to get to the other side. The situation coming in here, you just got to see these kids. They come in with the bases loaded, gets the first out, big out right there.
So the first strikeout for McFall, and that retires the first out of this top half of the second for Capabianca. Back to the top of the order, Ben Deibler, who struck out his first time up. Going inside is Capabianca to even up the count at 1-1. You can tell he's quick on his delivery, but more importantly, he's aggressive when it comes to an opposing batter.
Yeah, you have to be in this situation. It's amazing. It just seems like, most of the time you like to bring in a relief pitcher in a clean situation. Out here, it seems like these guys, they get thrown right into the fire right away, getting tested right when they're out there.
Deibler swinging on a 2-1 pitch, fouls it to even up the count at 2-2. Still just one out with the bases loaded for Vermont, looking to bounce back after their loss in the opening round on Sunday against South Portland, Maine. Grounder up the middle, scampers through, past the second baseman. 1 run will score. Another comes across the plate. The throw high, and advancing to second is Deibler, and 2-0 Vermont, striking early in this elimination game.
Big hit with bases loaded, staying up through the middle with it. Aggressive base running with Vermont, taking advantage, using their speed as an asset.
So Ben Deibler in the leadoff spot, delivering with the 2-run single to get Vermont on the scoreboard. As Randall moves over to third on the play, advancing to second from the throw was Deibler. And a chance to add to it for Eli Bostwick. An egg sandwich for good luck. I love some of these habits these kids have.
Egg sandwich for good luck, and if you get a couple hits today, you're going to be eating a lot more egg sandwiches every day for that good luck.
This one, opposite way into right field, a base hit. Randall will come in to score, and the RBI single by Bostwick extends the lead for Vermont, now up 3-0.
Another great piece of hitting. These hitters are not trying to do too much. See how he stayed on the ball nice there, drove it to right field. When we try to do too much of a hitter, we tend to pull off balls and start pulling balls. But these guys from Vermont, scrappy type hitters, are just going the other way, taking what they got.
3 runs on 3 hits as Goodrich, the base hit, his first plate appearance, with runners at the corners as Deibler advancing to third on the base hit by Bostwick. That one in for a called strike, and Goodrich falling behind in the count 1-2.
One of the impressive things about these Little League hitters is they don't seem to overswing much.
That one sent to second. Corelli to second, on to first, the throw wide. A run will score in Deibler, and it will be a 4-0 lead for Vermont.
Number 1, Jake Riomi.
So Jake Riomi now, the cleanup hitter for Vermont, with 2 outs and a runner on first. 4-0 Vermont with the advantage. Riomi, favorite athlete Kevin Durant. It's interesting when you talk about Major League Baseball, everyone's talking about the Dodgers now as the new Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, they piled on at the end here to try to make a run for those playoffs.
Bringing in Yu Darvish, adding to the bullpen as well. As Riomi falls behind in the count, 1-2. Strike 3 as Capobianca able to get out of the jam, but not before Vermont is able to put a 4 spot up in the top half of the second. Holden Mass looking to answer on the other side of the break. The Giamatti Little League Center, home of the Mid-Atlantic and New England Regional. Speaking of which, 6 teams making up this region: Vermont, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. Connecticut having won this tournament in 2010 and in 2012. Rhode Island under Dave Belisle with that magical run back in 2011. As for this New England regional recap, New Hampshire, the only team so far 2-0, outscoring their opponents, Darren, 21-2. But Fairfield put on a clinic in that win over Maine, 8-0 in the game on Monday, as New Hampshire and Connecticut will battle it out 4 Eastern time on Wednesday. And that should be an impressive performance to see by both teams after what they've been able to display thus far in the tournament.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun game to watch, with Connecticut having that history of going to the World Series out of that region. To me, they'll be the favorite to beat there.
Capobianca swinging first pitch to begin the bottom of the second, and Divler there for the putout, and there is one away. Hey, Divler with the shade. Did you ever wear those when you played outfield?
I did one time, and I had them on top of my hat, and it was the wrong thing to do. I lost the ball in the sun in Shea Stadium with the shades on top of my hat, so I went to flip downs after that.
So a 4-0 lead for Vermont as Goodrich back to work. This time facing the catcher, Pat McManus, and that gets through for a base hit past the second baseman, Tony Appenzeller. And a 1-out single, the first hit of the day for Holden, Massachusetts.
Yeah, and it's important to get that first hit out of the way, especially after giving up 4 in the second. You want to at least get 1 or 2 back here.
Cole Corelli, the second baseman who had the final out last inning to get out of the jam, nicknamed Coco. And if you're a Massachusetts native and a Red Sox fan, first thing you think Coco Crisp. As Appenzeller can't hold on to it, the mishandle allows for Corelli to get on, and with 1 out, here's Holden, Massachusetts staring, threatening with 2 on.
Yeah, he put the ball in play. You know, that's putting pressure on the defense right there. The second baseman maybe felt he could have turned 2 there, was a little bit of rushed. You know, right there's a second baseman. You just want to get an out. You know, turning 2 is just a bonus. So when you put the ball in play, you put the pressure on the other team.
Ruled a base hit, so back-to-back singles after the out that started off the ground out by Capobianca. Brings up the number 8 hitter, Joey Conrad, the coach's son. High leap at first, great put out, and nearly gets the double play. Riomi, heads up play, hopped up, grabbed it, touched first, and a quick throw, but McManus able to beat the tag.
Yeah, heads up is the word right there, because he knew right there he had the bag, step on the bag, looked at third, thought he had a chance out of, made a strong throw, just got in there in time.
Brings up the number 9 hitter, Travis Moran. We saw in the highlights from last night against New Hampshire make that great dive and catch out in left field. An opportunity to get Holden Mass on board. Trailing 4-0, a first pitch strike by Goodrich. That one fouled away and in the hole, 0-2 with 2 outs. Massachusetts last night falling 8-2 to New Hampshire. And give credit, back at it in a short period of time. Moran again fouls that one away.
Got himself in the hole right here, 0-2, so just trying to battle back. Really, as a hitter, you're just trying to put the ball in play, expand your zone a little bit, try to put the ball in play and make something good happen.
In there for a called third strike. That ends the inning. Mass gets a couple of base hits, but can't put a run across the board at the end of 2 in Bristol. Vermont leading 4-0. The Little League Grow the Game Grant Initiative has distributed over $2 million at the local level. Grant funding provides local Little Leagues resources for general improvement and to expand or establish softball, Challenger Division, and Urban Initiative programs. For more information, visit littleleague.org/grow the game. At the top of the third, here at the Giamatti Center in Bristol, Connecticut, Breen Field on a beautiful afternoon. Elimination game between Vermont and Massachusetts. Winner moving on, continuing a pursuit of a spot at the Little League World Series in Williamsport. As Toby Appenhauser, favorite movie, Spider-Man. There you go. In there for a called strike, quickly behind in the count, 0-2. Capobianco working his second inning of relief after taking over for Tucker McDonald. And that one laced out of the reach of the shortstop, Eli Robbins, and the leadoff man aboard for Vermont. That one was laced right to the shortstop.
Yeah, that's what we call a frozen rope. But again, not trying to do too much as a hitter, just trying to hit line drives, ground balls up the middle, get on base, put the pressure on.
Number 9, Josh Brown.
So Appenzeller getting the 4th hit of the day for Vermont, as Josh Brown, who walked in his first plate appearance. That one missing low by Capobianco. Two for 3 in this regional. 4 RBIs. This one grounded to second. Play to first for Corelli for the first out of the inning, as advancing is Appenzeller to second. Darren, over your career, you played in a number of elimination games in the postseason. I know we talked about the mindset, but in terms of the philosophy and the preparation leading up to it, how did you handle that type of moment?
Yeah, you just kind of went over why are you there and what kind of success did you have to get there, and you try to go back to those successes. You're there for a reason because you play baseball probably fundamentally, you catch and throw, great base running, so you just try to get back to the basics.
Kyle Lozier pinch hitting for Eli Robinson. This one sent to second. Corelli again fields the ground ball, the second out of the inning. And advancing to third is Appenzeller with 2 outs. And Randall set to come up for Vermont.
Pinch hitting.
And instead of Randall, it's going to be a pinch hitter. Andy Parthy will be coming up for Vermont with the 4-0 lead. Part of the mandatory play rules involved with Little League. Depending on the number of players that you have on your roster, every player bats at least once. And if you have 13 or more on your roster, then they've got to play 6 consecutive defensive outs. Swung on and missed to even up the count at 1-1.
Yeah, there's enough chaos going on during the game with the actual play of the game. These managers also have to worry about the chaos you just talked about. You know, making sure they get the guys in, you know, whether it's a pinch hit, pinch run, or you got to play defense so many innings. It's a lot to keep track of.
2-1 pitch as that one gets behind the catcher. No advancement on the play by the runner at third, as Appenzeller stays put, as Capobianco falls behind 3-1. So the 2-out walk puts runners at the corners. So Darren, we alluded to it just moments ago about the mandatory play rules involved on the regional as well as the World Series level. So again, if a team has 13 or more players, each player must bat once. 12 or fewer, 6 defensive outs in a row they must play. So again, it's part of a manager's managing the game within a game.
Yeah, and I think, at the end of the day, Little League has made the decision that, it's more than the game itself. It's all about, when you show up and travel these long distances, every kid wants to be a part of it. You want to make sure every kid feels a part of it.
Tanner McFall sending one into the gap in left center field. That one reaches all the way to the wall. 2 runs are going to come in to score. Trying to go for third, McFall, and he is safe. Now he's charging home. And he's in there as well. What a play by the number 9 hitter, Tanner McFall. And Vermont with a 7-0 lead.
Talking about a spark plug for a team. He hit that ball and just never stopped running.
What an incredible hitting performance as Tom Conrad, the manager for Massachusetts, just want to go and check this one out on video replay one more time. But Vermont breaking it open in this top half of the third, a 7-0 lead. We talked about this. It's never really the main impact players that we highlight that make the difference. It's those under-the-radar performers that step up at the opportune times.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
So they're looking at whether or not McFall was safe at home or whether the tag by McManus was in time. I mean, he launched that ball into left center field. He had no hesitation as to going to third on the play, and then when the mishandle on the throw happened, he went right for home. And here, Darren, might be our best look at whether or not the tag was in time. So that might be our best angle. Again, in terms of replay, as he is safe at home, McFall, so will be credited with a double and an E5 on the play. But in terms of video replay, only applies to the regional action along with the World Series televised games. And one of the things that is looked upon in these replays is the tags on the base paths. And so McFall with the RBI double, scoring on the error, Vermont able to extend this lead to 7-0. So a pitching change for Massachusetts as Vermont cruising up 7-0 in this third inning. P.J. O'Rourke will be the new pitcher for Holden, Massachusetts, after Tanner McFall was able to come up with the double that scored 2 runs. The error led to him scoring as part of a 3-run third to extend the lead for Vermont to 7-0. As it's back to the top of the order for Vermont. Ben Deibler, the shortstop, in with the bases empty and 2 outs. But Darren, a play like that certainly can change the complexity of a game like this in an elimination game, no matter what.
Yeah, when you start getting leads 7-8 runs like this, awful lot of pressure on the other team. And with Goodrich, how he's pitching for Vermont, it's going to be a tough challenge for this team.
Breaking ball missing on the outside corner. Ahead in the count is Deibler at 2-1. And just like we saw against South Portland, Maine was able to put up a 7-run 6th inning. Vermont's stunned, and yet now all of a sudden they just flip the script. It's one of those situations, you know, from your playing career, you've got to have a short memory in this game.
Yeah, you got to just bounce back as quickly as possible when things don't go your way. That's huge.
Fouled away and evens up the count at 2-2. That must have been difficult, though, at times, to be able to try to put an error or a strikeout in a key spot behind you very quickly. The grounder to Corelli, and that ends the inning. But Vermont adds 3 more, and midway through the third, they're shutting out Massachusetts 7-0. Catch all the excitement of the Little League World Series, including scores, stats, highlights, and more. Visit LLWS.org or follow along on social media with the hashtag LLWS. 3 more runs come across for Vermont at the top half of the third as Goodrich back to work with that 7-0 lead. And if you're holding Massachusetts here, Darren, you want to get this leadoff man on to try to spark some type of rally.
Yeah, you just want to get that first run across and kind of break the ice. But Andrew out here, he's got what we call as a hitter easy pop. It doesn't really seem like he's throwing hard, but all of a sudden the ball gets up on top of you.
And that's the best way to start off this bottom half of the third with your leadoff man, Dennis Jardine, coming up with the single into center. And the first runner on for Massachusetts with Tucker McDonald set to come up.
Number 9, Tucker McDonald.
McDonald struck out his first time up back in the first. The left-hander. That one in for a called strike. Evens up the count at 1-1. Loves the competition, and McDonald struggled to start off this game, was in a jam, couldn't find his control on the mound. But in terms of his performance at the plate, he has been one of the offensive weapons that Holden has been able to rely on throughout their run here to Bristol.
Yeah, and he's putting together a nice at-bat right now, just trying to get on base, working the count a little bit.
This one sent through, out of the reach of the shortstop Deibler, and the first 2 have reached for Holden in this bottom third inning. You have made a mention of this before, Darren, is the fact that you can't think of it as a big picture of a 7-0 deficit. You have to slowly chip away, and thus far, with the first 2 base runners reaching, Holden Mass is doing exactly that.
Yes, anytime we were in a situation like this, down a lot of runs and haven't put one on the board, we used to kind of say, well, you got to score 1 anyway to win this game, you know. So that first run, it just seems takes the pressure off. So you're just trying to get that first one across.
Massachusetts with 4 hits. Vermont with 7 runs on 5 hits as Sean Barrier takes a called strike, heading the count 2-1. Barrier, who walked in his first plate appearance. And Goodrich able to bounce back to even up the count at 2-2. Has thrown 38 pitches to this point. Playing in these elimination games, there's a little bit of an interesting dichotomy to it for a manager, and that is, how long do you keep your starter going? Do you continue to use him if he's accurate and effective, knowing that there is the potential that you may not be able to use him for 2 or 3 days? Or do you try to manage it where you say to yourself, okay, let us save our best pitcher in case we win this game and have to play another day? Grounder to third, easy play for Brown for the force out. And the first out of the inning.
Yeah, I think that, you know, as long as they have a big lead, that's going to come into play as far as pitch count. But if it's a close game, I think you go with the starter as long as he's having success.
We got a little excited in that last half inning, and it took us a little bit to get back into the defensive mindset. Okay, we're right there now. We're right there now. Keep working him. Okay, a little T-Rex action, right? Okay, the Twins are up, so we want to, same idea. Okay, good call. Good call. So, hey, let's spin 2 in the middle if we got it. great job eating it going across. Probably wasn't going to get it. Might as well, hold on to it. So we're in a great spot. We got a little bit of room. We just don't want the big ball. Okay, the small ball's fine. Nothing for the big ball. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Okay, here we go.
Good words of advice from manager Dave Bostwick to his pitcher.
Pitch hitting, number 19, Stephen.
Yeah, no free passes, throw strikes. Make these guys put the ball in play and try to keep the ball in the ballpark.
Stephen Hubert pinch hitting with 1 out and 2 on, and arguably the best threat at this point for Massachusetts in this game, in this elimination game.
They got their first 2 hitters on, and now they got the meat of the order coming up.
This one, short one to short, and Deibler unable to control it. And the bases will be loaded with 1 out. Bostwick alluded to the T-Rex. What does that mean in that situation?
The T-Rex? I don't know.
I thought you knew that.
No, I have no idea.
I threw you a curveball?
Yeah, definitely. I thought it might have been his nickname or something, T-Rex.
I thought I threw you a perfect one. I lobbed it up for you. Said I threw you a breaking ball.
Yeah.
So the bases will be loaded for Massachusetts.
I think what they're asking here is maybe the base runner interfered with the fielder's opportunity to field the ball.
So Austin Torville will re-enter as a pinch runner
For Massachusetts,
at
number
first base.
13, Eli Robbins enters as a pinch runner on first base.
Check that, Eli Robbins for Massachusetts.
Miller.
This is Tyler Miller in a spot where Massachusetts threatening. Bases loaded and 1 out. Goodrich missing on the breaking ball and is fallen behind in the count, 2-0. Nickname is Eddie. I don't see where in Tyler Miller they get Eddie, as that one is foul. Stays alive in the count now, 2-1. I actually had someone one time, Darren, come up to me and they say, "Why do they call you Brick?" And I looked at him, I said, "Are you serious?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, my last name is Brickley." They said, "Oh, well, that makes sense."
And that's where usually most of the nicknames come from.
Right.
My nickname was Braggy. If you can't find a nickname for someone, you just kind of move their names around, add a Y, shorten up a name.
And the cardinal rule, as that one's fouled away in a nickname, you don't pick your nickname. It is given to you.
Yeah, it's given to you for sure. There are some guys that I've played with who've actually tried to name themselves.
That one base hit by Miller, opposite way. 1 run's going to score. Another one right behind him. And it's a 1 out, 2-run single for Tyler Miller. And Massachusetts on the board, now trailing 7-2.
Yeah, nice job of hitting right there. Staying on the outside fastball, really stayed on that ball nice, drove it to right field. I can't emphasize enough that, and it goes back to coaching, that most of these hitters here, they don't try to do too much. They're really just trying to put the ball in play.
McManus, grounder to Deibler, steps on second, on to first for the unassisted double play. But not before Massachusetts gets 2 runs across the board. They trail by 5 at the end of 3. John Brickley along with Darren Bragg as you take a look at Breen Field, the Giamatti Little League Center in Bristol, Connecticut for this Mid-Atlantic. Check that, New England. It's been a long day so far. Elimination game between Vermont and Massachusetts, as Massachusetts able to get a couple of runs on the board in the bottom half of the 3rd inning to cut the deficit to 5. And the great thing about this tournament, which started in '87, was the fact that you had 1 ticket automatically punched to Williamsport. But in 2001, it expanded to have not only the New England regional represented, but also the Mid-Atlantic region represented. And that's a great part of the environment here, that for a full week, you get to see 12 incredibly talented Little League teams from across the entire East Coast.
Yeah, and that speaks highly of this facility that they play the games at. You're not going to bring 2 regionals here if you don't have the facility to handle it.
Great catch in right field as McDonald tracking it down for the first out. We have seen a number of great web gems throughout this tournament, including this outfield core for Holden Mass.
Yeah, nice job going to his left. You know, the importance of outfield defense. When you're running, when a guy hits a ball like that and you run it down and chase it down.
Andrew Goodrich, the pitcher, first pitch swinging and gets on board with a base hit, his second of the day. McDonald, who was the starter, making that previous play, making the move to right field. And so Vermont trying to answer on the back end. And Jake Raomi sporting the lime-looking bat. I like some of these colors we see.
Got the lime, you got the neon. That's what they call it, a little swag.
Little swag, there we go. O'Rourke trying to go high and tight on Raomi. The cleanup hitter, a walk and a strikeout for him. Family Guy, you got to appreciate that as his favorite TV show. As O'Rourke missing low on the breaking ball, 2-1. Count in favor for Raomi. Vermont put up 4 runs in the second, 3 more in the third.
So the quick turnaround here really hasn't affected these guys offensively. Maybe, you know, some of the pitchers, but offensively, these guys are sharp right now.
2 runs on 6 hits, 1 error for Massachusetts. 7 runs on 6 hits, no errors for Vermont. Full count, and that one just foul for Raomi. Stays alive in this 4th inning.
You know, right here, Vermont, you're just trying to add on a little bit. You know, you had the 7-run lead. They came back and scored 2. You don't want to let up. You don't want to relax. You want to pile on these runs.
That one nearly gets past the catcher, but it's ball 4. And so 2 runners out on now for Vermont. After the play and right by McDonald.
Toby Appenzeller.
Come on now, Toby. Go, Mike. Take a look.
Appenzeller, first pitch strike taking all the way.
Double back up the middle, Hey, watch it come through the middle.
O'Rourke fires it in there and ahead in the count, 0-2. Now that is interesting that a Vermont kid, his favorite player is Carson Wentz. I mean, you would think for football in New England, Tom Brady.
Yeah, easy pick there.
Right? Not Carson Wentz. Because I can't even see where Wentz could be even on the college level, because he played in the Midwest. Not judging, though.
No.
Just more out of curiosity.
Maybe he's an Eagle fan.
Oh, I just feel sorry for him. 1-2 pitch by O'Rourke. That one misses. Appenzeller evens up the count at 2-2. That one gets away from McManus as both runners able to advance, as it'll be a full count for Appenzeller with just 1 out, as Goodrich moves to third and Raomi on to second.
Yeah, nice at bat Toby's got working here. He started off 0-2, worked it back to 3-2.
Appenzeller lobbing one to second. Play made by Corelli, and there are 2 outs with no advancement by the runners. Got jammed up, and a nice job by O'Rourke to battle back after forcing the full count.
Yeah, definitely. You know, competitive at bats. You know, this is what Vermont seems to be doing. You know, they're not afraid to take a pitch and make a pitcher work.
So with 2 outs, Josh Brown back to the plate. Takes a first pitch strike. Up to 24 pitches now on this throw for O'Rourke. And that one fouled away. And now an 0-2 count with 2 outs. In there for a called third strike, and so O'Rourke able to punch out to end the inning. Midway through the fourth, Vermont up 7-2.
It's a feeling like it's never gonna end. It's the reason keeps you coming back again, saying summer forever. Keep it going now, summer forever.
The excitement is growing for the road to Williamsport, and it will be on a number of platforms. You can see it from ESPN all the way to ABC and on the Watch ESPN app. And already tickets have been punched to Williamsport, the beautiful stadium, setting the stage for another epic showdown in the World Series. Sydney, Australia has punched their tickets. Seoul, South Korea, who just a couple of years ago was also competitive last year in the championship game, losing to Maine Endwell, New York. Tokyo, Japan, that played in that championship game 2 years ago against Pennsylvania, won it all. And the fans here in Bristol will see two more tickets punched representing the New England and the Mid-Atlantic regions as we head to the bottom of the fourth. Vermont up 7-2 on Massachusetts. That was able to get out of a jam in the top half of the inning. You wonder, Darren, if they can carry that momentum defensively into the offense here today.
Yeah, that was the key. The pitcher's job was to put up the zero. He did that. Now it's the offense's job to start getting guys on base and maybe scoring one or two here.
And it's a nice start to begin the bottom of the fourth. Matt Rake in a pinch hit spot comes up with the leadoff single. The seventh hit of the day for Massachusetts. Put their first two runs across in the bottom half of the third. As O'Rourke, the third pitcher today used for Holden, Mass, facing off with Goodrich, back to work in his fourth inning, and the quick check to first.
Yeah, so this is Massachusetts, second time through the lineup here. So, like I said with Goodrich, it just felt like he had some easy pop. So maybe it was a little hard to read early. Now the second time through, they got a little better read on him, having some more success.
That one in there for a called strike, evens up the count at 2-2. Massachusetts looking for a big inning rally. Cut on and missed by O'Rourke, but that one foul tipped, stays alive. Deibler moving to catcher. Eli Bostwick now the new shortstop for Vermont. As the sun starting to shine over Breen Field here at the Giamatti Little League Center as time has been called. Massachusetts coming off the loss last night to New Hampshire. Quick turnaround with the game ending at nearly 11:30 as O'Rourke down on strikes in the first out for Goodrich, who has his fifth strikeout.
Yeah, he's workhorse out there. He's up to 60 pitches now, but still able to make a pitch when he needs to.
Travis Moran.
Travis Moran, the number 9 hitter, the left fielder, 0 for 1. Had the great catch last night. I mean, you played in so many games under the lights to count, but I bet for these kids it certainly was a thrill to play it in this type of environment, in that type of setting last night.
Absolutely. I can remember our Little League, we were fortunate enough, our own Little League had lights.
That one opposite way falls in for a base hit. And Holden, Mass threatening in the bottom of the fourth, just 1 out and 2 runners on.
And I could not wait to get on those fields that had those lights to be able to play underneath the lights.
Number 6.
When I played Little League, we had one night game a year, and that was the only game we cared about. We could go 0-20.
Center or gap you're off. Just go off and you're scoring. He's never going to stop you. Okay, you got wheels, hit the bag going, right? And you go in hard in the home. Now, right field, you both tag on a fly ball, because you're going to tag, because if they try to get him at third, you're going to be at second. They're not going to get you at third anyway, okay? But just in case. All right, so tag. Here, you got to watch, right? That way you
Okay,
got to
let's spin one. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
So Goodrich, after the meeting on the mound, in terms of the rules, on the third visit to a pitcher in an inning, the pitcher's got to be removed. Goodrich is all ready to go. But in these situations, Darren, the coaching staff vital in terms of setting the stage, being able to settle down the pitcher, and being able to continue to keep the composure for the players on the field.
Yeah, you know, those trips to the mound are important because you have to time them. And in situations like this, you know, you have first and second. You just want to give the kids a little break, you know, explain to them what they need to do on defense when the ball's hit to them.
This one sky high to left and out of the ballpark. A 3-run home run for Dennis Jardine, and just like that, Massachusetts back in it, down by 2. That is what you want from your leadoff hitter, Darren. You've been in that situation before. What a moment and what an opportunity to take advantage of.
Got himself a high fastball. Big situation for a leadoff hitter, driving out of the park, making this a 7-5 ball game. Biggest hit of the game right now.
And give Jardine credit, swung on a 2-0 pitch and lofted that one out for the 3-run home run. And just like that, we've got a new ball game as Vermont down.
Here we go.
As Goodrich
have some fun.
Will be taken out after 65 pitches.
Good work,
but the damage done by Jardine with his 3-run home run has Massachusetts within 2. New pitcher for Vermont, Eli Bostwick, who started the opening round on Sunday. Andrew Goodrich taken out and moves over to shortstop. And facing off with Tucker McDonald. First pitch swinging is McDonald. This was a 7-0 game by Vermont. 4 runs for them in the second, 3 more in the third. And yet Massachusetts has answered with 5, 2 of them coming in the third, 3 more here in this bottom half of the 4th inning.
You know, I thought it was a gutsy performance by Goodrich. You know, he went out there, I think, in front of about 65 pitches. You know, kept his team in the game, and they had the lead. You know, the second time around, he was mainly a fastball pitcher, so second time around they got to him.
As McDonald goes down swinging, and you have to like the strategy by Vermont. 7-5, the deficit down to 2 for Massachusetts. Coach Bostwick decides to go with his opening day starter in a relief role.
Yeah, you know, that's what you got to do with these elimination games. If you don't win today, there is no tomorrow. So sometimes you got to do something that you're not used to, and this is probably one of those situations.
And Bostwick was on cruise control against Maine. They had no answer against him as this one right through the legs of Bostwick, right to the shortstop Goodrich. The put out that ends the inning. But Massachusetts with a 3-run home run, down 7-5 at the end of 4 in Bristol. Vermont a 7-5 lead on Massachusetts as we work our way to the top half of the 5th inning. One of 2 elimination games today on ESPN at 7 Eastern. Mark Brown and Dave Belisle on the call for Cumberland, Rhode Island and South Portland, Maine. Coach Belisle, who's had so much success over the years, guiding Cumberland to the Little League World Series. On the call for that one in the winner's bracket, 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. It's going to feature Fairfield and Goffstown, 2 teams who came away victorious, punching their tickets into the semifinals. And what I would give right now to have some fried dough during the broadcast, Aaron.
A little fried dough and some pretzels.
Yeah, and a train ride to D.C., right?
Get it all taken care of.
Knock it all out in one day. So in the 5th, Vermont looking to answer off that 3-run home run by Dennis Jardine as Lozier to lead things off in the 5th. O'Rourke able to get Lozier on the swing and the miss, 1-2. These games have a different feel to it. Granted, it is an elimination game, so one team season is going to come to an end, but the competition intensifies even more, Darren, because as we saw with Fairfield and then with Goffstown as well, those two teams have really put themselves in a different stratosphere compared to the rest of these teams. And now, with two teams fighting to keep their season alive, you're seeing this back and forth battle.
Yeah, it's a back and forth battle, and you know there might be a mountain ahead of them with these teams out here, but while they're climbing this mountain, you know, this kind of edge, this kind of battle tests you, so that when you do move on to the next round, you got a little battle test, so you go there with some confidence.
So Lozier's worked it to a full count. Slow roller to the catcher, fires it with a putout with McManus behind the plate, and there is one away.
Nice job by the catcher getting out there quickly, ripping his mask off, making a good strong throw to first base.
Pinch hitting number 4.
Making plays like that, you'll get the nickname El Gato.
El Gato, there you go. Or Pudge. That one fired in for a called strike. Kenny Parthy pinch hitting with Vermont up 7-5. Winner moving on.
Good eye, kid. Good eye. Good eye.
And give credit to Massachusetts. If you're just joining us, had to play a game late last night. 9:30 was first pitch because of the rain that forced the delays on the two night games. That game finished at 11:21 for Massachusetts against New Hampshire, and they're back at the field today. Cut on and missed, and O'Rourke with the punch out, and there's quickly two away.
The game's over at 11:21, but even by the time these kids wind down and actually get their eyes shut, it could be more like 2:30 at night.
I can only imagine what time these kids went to bed last night, especially knowing what was on the line today. Gavin Blondin, number 7 for Vermont, pinch hitter. Here's a look at O'Rourke. Batters that he's faced 9, and all of them have seen first pitch strikes. That one just missing on the outside corner.
Be a lot of pitching coaches that love that stat. First pitch strikes. I mean, you hear it all levels. You know, get ahead of hitters, throw strikes.
This one, a little bit of confusion as the third baseman Tyler Miller, along with Eli Robbins, the shortstop, could not handle the play, and so able to get on with 2 outs here in this top half of the 5th. Keep the inning going for Vermont. London credited with the infield single. Deibler, the shortstop, leading things off.
I see they finally, I think they got a fence up for that camera behind home plate now after 4 or 5 broken lenses.
And about a $100,000 bill coming the way for ESPN.
I thought that last foul tip there might have had a chance to get it.
The worst part was when we got to the ballpark yesterday and it happened again, everyone looked at me like I did something. Oh, man, you're the one that's got the worst luck. Well, I didn't do it.
You might be that guy that always got his hand in that cookie jar.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm maybe one of the ones that's fall guilty of the fact that sometimes I think it's pretty cool to see. I mean, Catron looked like, for DC, that he had just won Game 7 of the World Series when he did it. That one to right, easy play for McDonald. That ends the inning. Massachusetts fighting it out with Vermont in this elimination game, with the winner trying to keep their season alive.
After 4.5 innings of play.
Lynn, he's gone. 3rd strikeout. He's not easily intimidated. 4 strikeouts for Lance Lynn.
Hi, my name is Randall Gritchick.
Randall Gritchick at the plate. Goodbye! Home run!
He's just adding that memory bank right there. That's something special. He must really feel like he's on top of the world coming back here playing.
Sunday, August 20th, 7 p.m. Eastern, the Little League Classic, Cardinals and the Pirates. And what a moment to see how many amazing athletes have made it from the Little League level to the Major League level. Randall Grichuk, as we just heard from, making that jump. And then Lance Lynn, his teammate in St. Louis, participated in the Little League World Series back in '99, also making the jump as well. We've heard from a number of different ball players, and Darren, as someone who played in the majors for 11 years, it's fascinating to see how many players have taken that success on the youth level at the Little League World Series and carried that over professionally.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you forget this. When you watch these guys on TV in the big leagues, they just don't show up in the big leagues. They go through this process and play in Little League. A lot they learn on the field there that they take with them to the big leagues. It's really fun to see those two pitchers when the Little League days and the big league days.
On the bottom half of the fifth inning, as Eli Robbins begins things for Massachusetts. 7 runs on 7 hits for Vermont, 5 runs on 9 hits, and 1 error for Massachusetts. Vermont raced out to a 7-0 lead before Massachusetts was able to answer, highlighted by the Dennis Jardine 3-run home run. As Bostwick for Vermont back to work, trying to work the inside part of the plate, and that one in there for a called strike.
You know, Massachusetts has been able to turn around with O'Rourke pitching on the mound. He's shut them down, put those zeros on the board. He's gotten his club back in the dugout so they can go to work offensively.
Manager Tom Conrad and Sean Belfry, the home plate umpire, discussing that last check swing by Robbins. That one sky high, out of play, and it will remain 1-2. This one a grounder to short. Goodrich for the putout, and there is one away. So with 1 out, Vermont up 7-5.
Number 4, Tyler Miller.
That'll bring up Tyler Miller, who helped with the opposite field shot in that 3rd inning to put Massachusetts on with a 2-run single. And once again trying to go opposite way. What I find fascinating from our vantage point is the moment Miller hit that opposite way, there was about 20 kids that just jumped up.
Yeah, they're getting up off their seats out here. We got a nice ball game, 7-5 late, and like you said, if that ball goes down that right field line, we really can't see anything. It's just a crowd that we see standing up because they want to get the view on the ball.
Right, I'm talking like standing up like they're going to try to catch it.
Yes.
They're nowhere near it, but they're trying to catch it. This one sent to right, and underneath it is Robinson, and quickly there are 2 away. I saw the highlight last night. It was the 10-year anniversary of when Barry Bonds hit home run number 756.
15,
and I saw when the ball went into the outfield, there must have been 30 people that were just diving over one another to try to get that.
Yeah, 10 years, I can't believe it's been that long, but when you get a chance to get Barry Bonds' home run ball there, it's every man for himself.
Meanwhile, when you dive into the right field stands at Fenway Park, the only thing you're looking for is your cap, because I saw the video. Everyone's helping you up, and the only thing you've got focus on is trying to get your cap back.
Yeah, I have to remember who was pitching that game because I was probably in a real hurry to run to the get my bat and start swinging.
Robbing David Ortiz, then of the Minnesota Twins, of a home run. Featured a SportsCenter top 10 too, in terms of Fenway Park catches after what Austin Jackson did for the Indians.
Yeah, it was actually one of those catches where you're running after the ball as an outfielder and you really don't think you have a play on it, but your only option is to jump or dive. And, you know, sometimes you're a lot better than you really are.
Payoff pitch, fouled away by McManus. Stays alive with Mass down by 2 runs here in this elimination game. Cut on and missed, and that ends the inning for Bostwick and Vermont. At the end of 5, Vermont, a 7-5 lead on Massachusetts. Back to Bristol in a moment. John Brickley, Darren Bragg back with you as we get set for the top half of the 6th inning in this elimination game in the New England Regional. Get to our game recap. Vermont racing out to a 7-0 lead, highlighted by a 4-run second and a 3-run third. Massachusetts, however, has been able to cut through that deficit with all 5 runs coming in the 3rd and the 4th innings, with Dennis Jardine unloading for that 3-run home run, as Vermont looking to pad the lead. The second of 4 games of this quadruple header. Mark Brown and Dave Belisle set to call the final 2 games. I did get word that Brownie got his beauty sleep after a late night here, so.
And that he needs plenty of.
I'm breathing a sigh of relief after hearing that news. That one in the dirt. O'Rourke has pitched effectively in relief today, as Bostwick also pitching in relief. Dealing with a 2-1 count.
And, you know, that's why in these games you got to have the quick pull sometimes. You know, if the starting pitcher's not getting the job done, you got to bring in someone who's getting the job done.
Yeah, and O'Rourke has gotten the job done. 2 1/3 scoreless. This one sent right back to the mound. Underneath toss by O'Rourke. And there is one away. 2 hits, he has just surrendered. And he has kept Massachusetts in this ball game. I remember last year when we were working together, there was one day you had to do all 4 games.
Yes, and that was when I really learned the Little League song.
The Little League song.
I found myself dancing to it at home.
You had that video down pat. The next day I saw you, you knew it word for word.
That was my first question, is we had the same song, because I already know it.
It's old hat for you, Darren. What can I say? So a couple of grounders right back to O'Rourke. Quickly, there are 2 away as Conrad comes out of the dugout, wants to talk to his relief pitcher.
Okay.
Just a quick check as Austin Torville will be the pinch hitter for Vermont.
You know, that's a moment there. If we were in the dugout, we'd be, you know, razzing the coach a little bit. You just probably want to get a little TV time right there.
We've seen coaches, as I joked with Coach Belisle, try to do the Dave Belisle speech imitation. And many have fallen very short of the expectations.
Yeah, that is one tough act to follow right there.
Got one in there for a called strike, and O'Rourke ahead in the count, 0-2. Looking for the punch out. Torville just gets that foul.
You know, what O'Rourke's been able to do here is he hasn't walked anybody. You know, he's throwing strikes, making these guys put the ball in play, and the defense is making the plays behind them.
A 10-pitch inning to this point for O'Rourke. That 2-set foul by Torville, still battling. 54 pitches for O'Rourke. That one in there for a called 3rd strike that ends the inning. A 1-2-3-6 as Massachusetts down to their final 3 outs. Do they have the magic? We'll find out coming up. John Brickley, Darren Bragg back with you. Bristol, Connecticut at the Giamatti Little League Center for this elimination game. Vermont, Massachusetts working our way to the bottom half of the 6th inning. One of 2 elimination games on the schedule today. The second one later tonight featuring Cumberland, Rhode Island and South Portland, Maine. The 7 o'clock hour here on ESPN. And one of the advantages that all the teams have had for both regions, they've had a chance to go through Bristol, Connecticut, and the home of ESPN, and Take a look at Cumberland, Rhode Island today in the control room, visiting our hardworking crew, giving you the sights and the sounds of this New England Regional. And what an opportunity for these kids to be able to see ESPN. Certainly a thrill of a lifetime for these kids. So now Massachusetts down to their final 3 outs. As Cole Corelli to lead it off. Grounder back to Bostwick, and there is one away.
Nice play by Bostwick, getting his feet underneath him to make a good throw to first base. Every little play right now in this type of game, late in the game, becomes magnified.
They'll bring up the coach's son, Joey Conrad, the number 8 hitter. And we may have a video replay here.
Pinch hitting, number 5, Joey Conrad.
So Bostwick with 1 out, dealing to Conrad, going up at the high heat. Bostwick, who came in after the Jardine 3-run home run, has retired all 6 batters that he has faced since then. That one missing, and it evens up the count at 1-1. 1 out, Darren, your Massachusetts. How, as a hitter, do you approach this inning?
You know, you got the bottom of the order here, so you're just trying to get on base and get back to the top of the order.
Great diving play by Bostwick, and he gets the flip over to first for the putout, and there are 2 away. What a job by Bostwick, not only on the mound, but defensively as well.
You know, after he released his pitch, jumped quickly on that ball from the knees, made a little backhand play. Nice play.
First pitch swinging as Bostwick able to get Travis Moran on the swing. Jardine on deck. Reminder coming up after this one between Vermont and Massachusetts, Delaware and New York, followed by Rhode Island and Maine. Cut on and missed by Moran, and Massachusetts is down to their final strike. That one just foul tip, staying alive is Moran. Should he get on Dennis Jardine, who had the 3-run shot that I don't think Darren Still has landed, will have a chance to tie this game up.
Yeah, and Bostwick knows this. He knows this is the hitter he wants right here. He doesn't want to get in a situation where the tying run comes to the plate. So he's throwing strikes. He's ahead of the hitter right now. Now he's looking for a pitch to put him away with.
An elimination game winner continues on for the hopes to represent New England in Williamsport. The 1-2 pitch, again fouled back. Good job by Moran to hang in there.
Yeah,
battling with Bostwick.
Exactly. In a situation like this, he's up there, he's battling, he's making it a tough at bat.
Again, the 1-2 pitch, and again fouled away. What an at-bat Moran is putting together, just battling with the 1-2 count.
I mean, you look at his face when right when he gets in the batter's box, his focus, his attention, he is locked in right now.
Deibler, the catcher, with the meeting on the mound with Bostwick, who has seen 4 pitches fouled off by Moran.
You know, and a great little talk right there. I mean, you know, he knows the hitter's locked in. You know, you go out there and talk to him, maybe the hitter starts thinking, well, what's he saying? What's he going to do? So maybe put a little doubt in his mind.
Again, the 1-2 pitch, this time in there for a called 3rd strike. Bostwick closes the door on Massachusetts, and Vermont hangs on to win it 7-5 to play another day in this New England Regional. 35 pitches for Eli Bostwick as he helps Vermont advance in the bracket. As Vermont started off this game with a 7-0 lead, Massachusetts answered with 5 more, but the win goes to Vermont. 7-5 your score for Darren Bragg and our entire crew. I'm John Brickley saying so long from the Giamatti Little League Center here in Bristol.
Summer forever.